Hi everyone, this is Peter. Today I want to show you is the latest camera from Canon, which is XF-205. So I like this camera because they have a lot of improvement for the previous versions, and also they have put in some functions which I really impressed. So okay, let's talk about the outlook. And okay, this is XF-205 and this is XF-105. So if you compare with the body itself, you will find out the XF-205 is slightly bigger than the 105, and then it's slightly heavier. But I think it's probably acceptable, especially for this kind of size. And then okay, so let's talk about like the front. Okay, first the lens hood. I don't really like this hand hood because they have to have like a detachable lens cap. So probably if I'm using it, and then maybe I will just lose it in a second. But now this one, they have a built-in lens cap inside, which is much easier for me. And then I no need to worry about, oh, where's my lens cap? And then okay. And so this is one of the minor functions. And the other functions which I like is the control ring in the front. So for the XF-105, the control ring only have one. So which means you might have to put on, for example, like I want to use it as a focus, or maybe a zoom, or maybe iris. I have to maybe set it into the menu. And also, if I want to do something with, for example, like I want to do a zoom and also maybe focus at the same time, sorry, it is not possible. But for this one, this is the camera, the first camera, which I know in this compact size, they have 3 control ring, which is the focus ring, zoom, and also the iris, which is really good for me because sometimes I want to do maybe multi-function. For example, like maybe I want to do a focus at the same time. I want to do some maybe zoom by hand, not by the control. And then this will be probably very, very helpful for me. Other than this ring, and then let's talk about like the viewfinder. You will see the viewfinder, and then compared with the XF-105, the size is actually much bigger. So that means if you are in the sunlight, and then the reflections of the LCD monitors, you can't really just like read any information in it. So this is more usable. And then okay, other than that, and let's talk about the handle. The XF-105, the handle is actually been fixed. So that means, okay, if you are in these positions, and then, okay, my hand have to be like maybe adjust based on the positions of the camera, which is quite painful, especially you're using a quite long of time. And then for the XF-205, you will find out this handle can be actually adjustable. So that means, for example, like okay, I hold it like that, and then this is my best position, and then I feel very comfortable because I'm actually just using the handle to giving me the most comfortable point for me. So this is good. For example, if I'm using it for a high angle, low angle, or something else, and then I can twist the handle to find my best hand positions to make me feel more comfortable. Especially I use it for a long time. Very user friendly. And the other thing I also want to show you is actually different in between the connectors. For XF-105, you'll find out the connectors only have 2 BNC, which is the HD or SD-SDI, and also the other one is the gen lock and also the time code. So, but I don't like this because probably maybe when you connected the BNC, you have to go through the whole camera, and then it makes the whole like maybe a workspace quite a little bit messy. But for the XF-205, and then you will find out all the connectors is all built in at one side of the camera, and then which is actually make me more tidy. For example, like now they have like separate the time code and the gen lock into 2 BNC. You got like the monitor out with BNC, and also the 3G and HD SDI connectors on BNC2. At the same time, you got the BNC, you still got like the HDMI, and then you got the headphone, and then you got the AC connectors, and also you got the LAN cable. So what is that LAN connectors used for? Because this camera, you can probably connect it to the internet, and then you can transfer your files onto your FTP. So that means, for example, like okay, I'm doing a review in here, and then my editor have to for example, like in US, and then he have to edit it, and then he want to post it tonight, and then okay, it's impossible for me to just post my CF card and then to them. And then the most easy thing is I connected the internet, I get the FTP address, and then I transfer all the files directly through internet to their locations, and then they can start edit immediately. So this is very good for example, some news situations, and I think this is one of the beauty of this camera. But this unit, this function is only work for the FTP situation. It's not work for live stream. So if you need to have a live stream situations, you might need to maybe put something on, for example, like Teradek, Cube, or maybe Bond 2, something else like that. And then, okay, so other than the outlook, and then I like this camera because, okay, first they're having the CF card at the same time. They also have the SD card underneath. So that means you will probably have 3 copies if you're using a simultaneous mode. And I think this is probably pretty safe. But the only thing is the CF card, the SD card itself can only record MPEG 4. So you cannot, for the CF card, you can definitely record onto a MXF, which is the 422 50 megabit per second. So that's why I think like probably you got like maybe different kind of like compression, and then with a lot of copies. So which is, I think, is pretty safe. And then in case sometimes maybe the cards will be go wrong, and then okay, other than the connections or maybe the outlook, I like this camera because okay, the function will be probably the same setting menu with the traditional the XF or even the C series. So that means if you're familiar about like the Canon camera, you can probably take just like maybe within several minutes, and then you can work with this camera. It's very easy to use it. And also one function which I really like it, this which is my best things which I like this is this is the first camera, the compact camera, they have put on the high dynamic range functions. So which is what is a high dynamic range lock is probably is the Canon lock is probably a wide dynamic range, but you are actually the image is very grainy, and then you have to do a lot of light color calibrations. But if you're using this camera, most likely maybe you are using like maybe new situations, run and gun situations. You have to edit it really fast. You don't have the time to do the color calibration. But at the same time, I want to keep the dynamic range, and then you can using this high dynamic range for this. And then this is the first camera. You have this high dynamic range lock compare other than the C series, the C100. So I really like this camera. And yeah, there is something which I hope maybe they can improve is, for example, like some Sony camera, they can actually control, they can actually assign the button, the record button. For example, like the top button maybe control maybe the card slot A to record, and then the other button is control card slot B to record. So okay, what is it maybe it's good for? For example, like maybe I'm shooting a seminar or maybe an interview, which maybe one of the cards I have to run for almost like maybe the whole sections. But at the same time, I want to record just only a tiny bit, which is the most important part, and then with another card, and then I can, once it finished, I pull the card immediately, send to the editor, and then to edit immediately. Okay. For this camera, at this moment, you cannot do that because probably you can only set, okay, the MXF record and then plus the MPEG 4, or maybe you're only recording one media. But you cannot like maybe using one controller to control maybe a particular slot of a card. So if they can improve this, I can say this camera is almost like perfect for a lot of like situation, for example, news or run and gun or documentary, or like maybe a very compact like maybe situations, and then because the size is not like that big, but they have a lot of advanced functions. So if you want to know more about like this camera, please visit NS website.